Brought to you by Knights of Awakening. This is the Labyrinth, and I'm your host, Charles McBride, yet again. Today's topic is going to be on Runic healing, and you need a little bit of backstory for this to really get what was done, and then to really understand how you can use it for yourself. So the backstory on the situation that brings this video to light, that makes this topic pertinent. We had found an abandoned kitty cat. Well, I should say my wife had found an abandoned kitty cat on her way home. She was driving, seen that a kitten was on the road, tossed out, seen that the kitten's brothers and sisters were on the road, dead. We got to believe that the way the scene was described, and I'm not going to get into the gory details. You don't want that. You don't need nightmare fuel any more than I do. But we got to believe that the way the scene was described, that they actually threw the kittens out. Like someone just tossed them out a moving vehicle. As sad and as heartbreaking as that is, the one kitten survived. One lone kitten, okay, with a determination and a willpower to survive, lived through this and had been wandering around. My guess, from what I was told and looking at the kitten and the size and various other factors, probably 2 or 3 days on her own. With no food or water, and no real survival instincts developed yet. She couldn't have been more than 3, maybe 4 weeks old at most. And I think, honestly, a little younger given her developmental status. That being what it is, the kitten was brought home, bathed, which she did not resist at all on. She resists bathing now, so that you know, so this story does have a happy ending for those that are watching it and are like, oh God, this is going to be one of those stories. No, because it's about healing and healing methods, and runic healing is one of them. That's using the runes and magic to heal. A topic we don't cover nearly enough, I think, sometimes. So, to continue setting the scene for you, by the time the cat hits me, hits my doorstep, as it were, I've already pulled the muscles and tendons around my knee. Now, I've got some old injuries from the day job that I used to have, where it was a lot of knee work. It was a lot of lift and carry at one point, and I definitely have done some long-term injury there, and I do use magic to offset it. But the thing about that is that it's injuries that are sufficiently rooted in there that I've yet to manifest a complete alteration of them. Some people will criticize that, and that's great. That's not what I'm here to talk about today. What I'm here to talk about is this kitten. So they put the kitten on me, and this is also one of the reasons why it took a little longer for my knee to heal up that week. They set the kitten on me after it's been bathed and combed to get the fleas off of it. And on instinct, of course, I'm using healing energy and extending my field, my aura, to try and help it. But also, Helen starts doing her own spell work to help it. And we get a miraculous improvement on the first day or two, actually. The dog, the Chihuahua, who's been guarding it, as he's taken up position, he's taken up position so that as I'm laying, she's laying on my chest, the kitten is. She went through 2 different names at this point, which I'm not going to hit those names. I'm going to give you the name that we settled on, which was on day 2, which is after the first part of the healing energy started working, which was just healing. Direct healing, Reiki type of thing. And some of it was Reiki, literal Reiki. So the kitten has a miraculous recovery initially, which we know that it's recovered when it runs over and bites the dog's tail, earning it the name Valkyrie. I think that fits personally. But the story's not done there. This kitten had been so covered in fleas that invariably she was going to have worms. And I know a lot of you don't know much about this, and yeah, it's going to probably disgust a few of you. Worms are actually a type of parasite that form generally related to fleas in a lot of instances, and they harbor in the stomach. And if the animal's small enough and ate up enough with them, it can kill them. Well, she had very runny bowel movements at first, and we were monitoring that and watching the ebb and flow of that, as it were, hoping that she was going to get some solidity. And in the first week she did for a little bit, and then she had this terrible backspin that happened as a result of just the number of parasites. Now, the thing is, a cat this small, even if we had taken it to a vet, the odds are they would have just told us to put it out of its misery. And we weren't about doing that. Maybe a veterinarian with thousands upon thousands of dollars invested could have turned this around with modern medicine. I'm never going to say anything against modern medicine. Modern medicine keeps all of us alive at various points in this society. So I'm not saying anything against modern medicine. I'm saying this was a situation where things were getting bad, and I doubt that a veterinarian could have made much of a difference. Which is not to say that a very skilled vet with enough time and money invested into their services couldn't have. But frankly, we don't have $10,000, $20,000 to drop into a rescue animal as much as we'd love to. There are other bills we've got to pay. That's just life. I don't know anyone who drops $20,000 into a kitten that they found on the road. If there are people out there that do, though, more power to you, and bless you, you're the ones that make the world a better place with that type of power. My power is different. And by this point, my knee was on the mend. We'd had about 1 week into this before the backspin happened. So, you know, day one, kitten doesn't move very much. We're pretty sure it's going to die. They set it on me, healing aura, Reiki. Kitten starts to recover, bites Chihuahua. Chihuahua says that, because she bit his tail, he says, that is not for biting, that is for wagging, and takes up position at my feet instead of by my side to protect her, because that is not for biting. And he made that very clear. He barked and he yelped and he ran off. And I don't blame him. I would too if someone bit my tail. So, you know, day two, she's getting frisky. By the end of the week, she's doing good, and then she has this massive backslide as the parasites build up. And this is bad. You know, this is probably going to kill the cat, is what everyone's thinking. You know, Helen's getting worried. Her mom's getting worried. These people have veterinary experience that I don't have, and I'm like, how worried should I be? Should I start detaching, you know, from this kitten? And you know, Helen's like, you might want to ready yourself. Like, I usually don't tell you that you want to ready yourself, but you're probably going to want to ready yourself. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get ready. I'm going to get ready and solve this. So I sit the cat down. I'm in no mood to do anything else that day, okay? I'm hurting a little bit, and I'm not having it. It's one of the few times I take a day off from mystical practices for other people and just kind of focus on rest and myself a little bit. And I've got this kitten in my hands, and I'm watching, I forget what I was watching on Netflix, and I'm petting her. And it hits me that, you know, I can be doing Reiki while I'm petting her, so I start doing the Reiki. And she's become very docile. Okay, this is a wild kitty, okay? So when she's not moving around, it worries me. Right now, I think she's positioned on the chair with the dog, staring at his tail intently. So as I said, the story has a happy ending. I'm told the kitten's got probably a day or two left. And I'm like, yeah, let's see how good I am. I don't often get a lot of opportunity to do magic for myself or use a lot of my techniques for myself. I do a lot of work for other people. So anytime I get a chance to do anything for myself, it's a rarity. Yeah, but it's also, I won't tell you about things I've done for other people because that's, you know, there's confidentiality that you got to adhere to a little bit. So getting into what I did, and this is where we get into the meat and the potatoes of this methodology, I've got the Reiki flowing. I've got my own personal energy going into this somewhat too, which is a no-no in Reiki, but for what I'm going to do next, it's a necessity. And I said, you know, I am an expert on runic magic. I am as good as they get. I know what I'm doing. And it's time to put that to some use. So I start focusing on different runes, and I let my mind move back and forth. I'm like, okay, so we've got parasites. I've got to destroy the parasites. Hagalaz is way too big for this, okay? I want to kill the parasites. I don't want to kill this cat and every other cat on Earth. I don't need a storm. I need a scalpel. I need a hammer. I need something that hits one spot, not something that hits a dozen spots. So I need Thurisaz for this. That's the first rune I start focusing on. But if I hit one spot, I'm going to hit areas around that spot. I don't want to destroy the cat's stomach with the runic energy, and I don't want to kill the cat, you know. That, I mean, it's one thing to put something out of its misery, but if there's still hope, and there's still hope, I haven't given that up yet. So I've got Thurisaz active, I've got energy pouring into that rune, I need to balance it, so I take Ingwaz, okay? Powers of the earth, powers of healing, powers of stability in the body, and I focus energy into that. And with that energy flowing into there, I need something to move the toxicity out of this kitten, okay? Like, you know, I can destroy the parasites, I can rebuild the body, but I also have got to flow positive energy in to take the place of any of the negatives that are the illness, that are all the other problems. So I focus on Laguz. So I've got 3 runes active here, okay? Laguz is the flow. It's a very powerful healing rune. Whenever someone asks me, what rune would you recommend I use for healing? I say, well, all the runes can heal, and different ones work better for different things, but Laguz is always a good bet because it is the water, the flow, the river. Always a powerful rune for this. So I've got Laguz active. I've got 3 runes total. Thurisaz, Laguz, Ingwaz. Not Hagalaz. I considered Anzuz. I considered Othala. I considered a couple other different ones. I considered using Gebo with offerings to try and, you know, beseech the gods a gift for a gift. But in the end, I went with these 3. And for the reasons that I've said. Now, what do? I visualize the rune glowing brightly within the color associated with the rune and its purpose at the time. For Thurisaz, I believe I was going with a yellow, orangish, reddish fire visualization and then pouring that energy into the stomach and at the parasites. Laguz is a cool blue, of course, with deep blues through it. And Ingwaz was browns and some greens, and the idea of the growing nature of the trees coming out of the earth, you know, regrow the natural body, the part of the what we're trying to save in the cat, regrow that. And when I was done, probably 10-15 minutes of this, it wasn't a very long session, because for all that she doesn't have a lot of energy, she likes to be cuddled on her terms. You know, the session comes to an end. The kitty cat does its little runoff. She's looking a little better to me. I'm not going to tell anyone what I've done yet. When it comes to personal stuff, I don't, like, if I'm working for someone else, doing something for someone else, I'll let them know what I've done when I've done it. When it comes for things in my day-to-day life, I don't let anyone know until I've done something. Partially because I don't like to get into the whole competition of, well, you know, you weren't the one that did that, I did that, or this, that. You know, there's 1,000 reasons. Maybe it goes back to my old training, the whole keep it secret, keep it safe. I think more than anything, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. Which, I know this video, a lot of people will be like, you're just bragging yourself up. No, I want you to know how this technique works. This is about the kitten. This isn't about my doing anything to save the kitten. And it's not even about the kitten, it's about the runes, this video. But the runes weren't about me, they were about saving this cat at that time. So, I guess I just don't want to be like that guy who's like, I'm solving this now with everything. I'd rather be the guy that after it's done, if someone looks at me and is like, did you do that? Be like, maybe I had a hand in it. So, the kitten starts the next miraculous recovery. Day 2 from the healing, so 24 hours. She's running around and she's playing a little bit. Her energy's starting to get back. She's starting to eat. She stopped throwing up. And her poops are starting to look a little bit better. Not that, you know, you wanted to know that, but probably at this point in the story you did kind of want to know that. Day 2. Remember, the runic energy is going to persist for days and days after it's been implanted, after it's been activated, after it's been purposed, I suppose. After the intent is put out there and the energization has occurred, the charging of those runes and that power for the kitten. By day 3, her poo was solid. She had stopped throwing up completely, save whenever she tried to eat the dog's food. Why? I don't know, because she's Valkyrie and she conquered the dog and is going to steal his food. By day 3, not only was her poop solid, there were no worms in it, or there was only a worm out of a whole day. That is a huge turnaround from worm-ridden cat probably going to die oh my God, look at this, you know, my wife calling me over and be like, you need to see this, I don't think the kitten's going to make it, to, oh yeah, that kitten's fine now. The point of this is how to use the runes for healing. Every rune has its purpose for healing. I'm not going to hit all of the runes in healing. I'm going to hit the 3 that are in this title. And I've done that, I think, sufficiently to give you an idea. Aggressive runes are great for killing illnesses, parasites, diseases, things that you don't want to be there that are there. They're not really good for mending bones or you know, helping tissue. And had she been in a situation where she had cancer or something like that, I would have went with Hagalaz, because at that point you've got to take a bigger risk because it's a wider spread illness. You know, this is very localized in some ways, so I didn't need to take the risk of subjecting the whole body to destructive energy. I needed something more precise. And a lot of times with cancers in the bloodstream and things like that, you've got to go with something bigger. And that's not, none of this is medical advice, nor should it be taken as medical advice for you or your pets. I don't take any legal responsibility for anything you do or don't do, or any responsibility for anything you do or don't do in this life. But what I do is give you some ideas on how to use these tools. And if you're a mystic and you're watching this, you're probably getting something out of this right now. At least, I hope you are. Laguz is really good for healing in general. Flowing water is a symbol of health and healing, where stagnant water is not. So the idea of a flowing water is always good for a healing power. So Laguz is always good. Ingwaz is always good for solidifying the body. There were other options there, okay? There were other options there. I think I may have used Ali's just a little bit as a protective measure during that. And if I did it, I didn't put a lot of emphasis. I might have just had it come across my vision and put a little bit into it, just like that little tap of energy. It wasn't one of the core ones that I used, but I do think it was present within my mind and within my working. So that's another good one to look into, along with Ingwaz, because they tend to go hand in hand for what they achieve in this. Bracano would have been a good option. The birch tree is always good for that. There are a lot of different runes that can be used in these ways, and it behooves you, if you're using runes in your practice, to consider how they can heal, how they can be used in healing outside of possibly what you would expect. A lot of people avoid runes like Isa and Nothiz, and that's a choice, you know. You can also choose to never use a pocket knife to cut rope and always try to cut it with scissors when the pocket knife will be quicker. I mean, you can choose to never use wash rags for anything in your home and always use sponges, even when a wash rag is more efficient. You can do all kinds of things that limit your tools and your tool set. But what I hope you take out of this video is the idea of looking at tools for healing specifically, and how to use these runes in healing. And it gave you something at the end of the day. As always, that's what I'm here for. What I'm trying to do with this is I'm trying to help you grow as a mystic and enhance your abilities and your skill set. I hope the story was helpful. It is a real-to-life story. The first take of this video that I did, she was sitting on my lap and leaped across the screen. And while I wanted to use that, it also caused me reflexively to turn the video off without thinking, so I don't have the rest of it. And cutting it in with different camera angles just wouldn't look professional. So she's alive and well. She's running around. Right now she's sleeping. She's sleeping because she tortured the dog and chased him. And, of course, you know, he played with her because they're best friends now. That's it. That's what it's all about, is making change in your world and changing the world around you through non-physical means. And if your magic isn't doing that for you, then watch more Labyrinth videos. I'll see what I can do to make it better. As always, I want you to awaken the night within. I'm out.